DISC assessment is really, really crucial on so many different levels, whether you're coaching, whether you're leading, whether you're recruiting. Man, you have to know this human better than anyone that's ever met them before. You do. And the DISC does enable you to get that done. So one of the first things I do before someone enters a coaching relationship with me, and remember, coaching is leadership and leadership is coaching. They are the same thing. So whether you run a team, brokerage, whether you're a coach, whether you're a sales manager, the first thing I'm going to do before I even have a conversation with them is say, hey, please take this DISC assessment. I can't imagine coaching someone not knowing their profile. So if I'm a coach, that's my first coaching call is, hey, take this. We'll talk about it next week or maybe the week after, whatever. But let's get it taken. A new agent comes into my office. First thing I'm going to do, it's day one. Before I show them where the copy machine is, they're going to take that link and they're going to take that assessment. I'm going to tell them it's going to take 15, 20 minutes max. Don't overthink it. Don't worry, it's not a grade. It's just going to help us coach and train you. And I think you're going to learn a lot about your tendencies and it's going to really help you a lot in this business. So first thing I'm going to do, I got to have the book on everybody and then I can coach. So let me just show you this real quick. And here's where it comes into hand when you're leading and you're coaching. So you can see this DISC profile that we provide to all our clients. It just gives you a little overview. And just, I think everybody knows the D is the dominant profile. They're usually, they see themselves as a leader. They're quickly frustrated. They get very stressed out. They get angry. They tend to initiate things. They're pretty stubborn. They're competitive. They're direct. They're blunt. The influencer, the I, this is your prototype agent. They're very social. They're optimistic. They're flexible. They're put together. They're persuasive, friendly, trusting. They're chatty Cathys. They're well-liked. They're communicative, but they're often disorganized. They don't have a lot of structure. You know what I'm saying? They don't like the systems work very much. The S, they're steady. This is the bulk of the population. The highest percentage of people are S's. They're very filtered. They're professional. They're dependable. They're compliant. Easygoing. They're very resistant to change. They do not like change. They don't like to put themselves out there. They don't like to sell. They don't like to ask for business. They tend to be more passive, more reserved, more thought out. And then the C, this is like your engineer. They're calculated, they're detail oriented, they're balanced. They tend to avoid people, but they love Google for information. They're risk adverse. They do not like a lot of change. They do not like risk. They're very logical. They're very accurate, thoughtful, deliberate, practical, and self-reliant. And this talks about a lot of different work preferences and tendencies, right? The D being dominant, they hate wasting time. They hate being taken advantage of. The I, they hate being rejected by other people. The people in the middle are all people. I and S, they're all people. I's, a lot of people at once. S's, one-on-one deep relationships. The S doesn't like change. The C doesn't like criticism or to ever be wrong. So why do I want to do that? Is because when we talk about when you're coaching or leading someone, we get caught in just trying to tell them what to do. This new agent needs to add 5 people to his database every day, or this person needs to make their contacts or make their recruiting appointments or something like that. And we get too tactical. And we always talk about perspective. We got to pull ourselves out and give some perspective. And the DISC assessment, if you know someone's DISC and you actually have them take it and then sit down and validate it with them, where you actually go through it and explain what they aren't and what their tendencies are both ways. And their whole DISC assessment report that every one of our clients gets gives them all those things. Right then, they're going to be shocked. They're going to want to DISC their wife, let them do it, or their spouse. They're going to want to DISC their friends. And all of a sudden, it's a very value-added thing. That's why we always say it should be your second recruiting appointment. You know what I mean? Your first recruiting appointment is talking to them, getting into a coaching relationship, determining their needs. But their second or third appointment, hey, why don't you take this DISC assessment? And then all of a sudden, you validate their DISC in the next recruiting appointment. It's so powerful. And they really love it. You know more about them than their existing broker. You know more about them than their family. It's a great way to stay in relationship and add value. Not to mention, you can now you can have the hard conversations with people. Because if you don't have the DISC assessment done and the validation done, it's very hard to tell someone that, you know what, you're being too hasty with this. You know what I mean? You're too volatile of a person. I can tell you the DI behavior, everybody wants to be this D behavior, but they are highly volatile. They have huge mood swings. If this person drinks alcohol too, a regular drinker, wild mood swing. And they go up and down, they get demotivated, they get high, low energy all over the place. Like it's very, very tough. Those people end up under a freeway overpass. They end up homeless. So understand that. Like that's the DI. It drives all up and down, and they tend to quit coaching on a moment's notice. They'll leave your brokerage on a moment's notice. So if you can sit down and say, hey, remember where our goals were, remember where we're trying to get, remember it's 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. Let me show you your disc real quick. You're going to be highly impatient. Remember, you're a high D. If you're not getting there fast enough, you'll quit. That's why Ds have a hard time going along, staying focused and staying on that same path. The great thing is about you, you always want to caveat it with all the good things about you, is you put yourself out there, you're fearless, you're direct, all those things, but don't forget the weak side too, because there's always a weak side. You always got a weakness. So when you get into that weak side, understand we're experiencing it right now. You're impatient, you're overloaded, and you're quitting, which is what most Ds do. That's why Ds have a hard time as leaders. You don't see a lot of them as leaders. I know, I'm one of them. Me, Brian, I'm one of them. I have a hard time with my volatility. I get very frustrated with people. Very frustrated with people when they don't try, when they don't want to push as hard as me. You know what I mean? I was like, that's why they're them. Same old problems. Can't push. That doesn't work though. That doesn't inspire anybody. Can't focus. You get into your I behaviors. They'll do the same thing. Like they can't fire someone. They can't let agents go. They can't have hard conversations because they don't ever want to reject or be rejected. They have a hard time growing large teams because they're so worried about losing the ones they've got because they don't want that rejection. They also have a hard time setting up systems. So if you're getting stuck on that, I'm going to pull out the disc and show them, say, guys, this is the time. You're going to have to hold your breath and get flexible with your behavior a little bit. We're never going to put you in a job or a role where you're always in your strengths doing everything you love to do. There's always going to be parts you don't. The good news is you're out there networking and making contacts left and right is a high I. A lot of people can't do that. You can. The bad side is getting you sit down and organized and time blocking and calendared, very hard for you. So you have to be aware of this weakness, and then you're going to have to put extra attention on that with me. So it pulls them out and shows they're learning things they've never learned before. With the S behavior, same thing. Your tendency is going to have a hard time to start doing. You're always going to be preparing. But when it comes time to put yourself out there and get vulnerable and ask for business or put yourself on social media, you're very reserved. The strength is, if we can get business for you, you're great at systems and organization and all of those different things that a lot of these hard-charging, loud DI behaviors aren't. They aren't willing. They're great warriors, but they're bad chiefs. You can put those systems in place, but you're going to need to be a warrior from time to time. You're going to have to put yourself out there and get vulnerable. Very important. Trying to make a D or an I take agent financials and get their heads around wealth building versus income earning. Very hard. But you got to show them and explain to them why. Because their tendency is all the D's and the I's, they're going to want to jump. They just keep changing their environments. They move to different brokerages, different teams. They just can't stay on the path because they run away from pain. They want it faster. They want it faster. They want it faster. They won't put in the work. D and I's are notoriously lazy. They'll put it in for short sprints, but for that long haul, ooh, it's hard. They just react. Oh, that won't work. Whoop, that won't work. Whoop, that won't work. I'll go here. I'll change this. I'll change my comp structure. I'll do this. They won't put in the work without having that type of coaching. You're working with C's, which you don't see a lot of C's in the real estate industry, but when they are there, same problem. They usually want to generate business from behind a computer screen. They've got to get out there and be people. They have to lead people. They have to trust people. They have to trust and not fight you on everything. They're very stubborn. They won't believe you. They need to be strongly convinced. And there are some times where you have to pull that chart out and say, gang, this is one of those times you need to trust me. We can go the slow road, or we can go, they'll fight you, and you can trial by error it until you look at me and say you were right. But this is one of those areas you have to trust and get comfortable and get brave, get courageous, take a risk. Because C's are anything but courageous. They are risk averse. I can't call someone a coward, but I can show them that where their profile tendencies are. It changes everything, right? I can also use it for leaders that have staff members. I mean, how many freaking DI behaviors fire their SC admin because they don't have enough urgency? It's crazy. They want them to be just like them. Like a couple circus clowns running the company. Like, no, literally, but we can show them, hey, no, remember, we need someone that doesn't have your urgency. We need someone that is steady. You're the crazy one. So we have to be able to talk that way. We have to be able, otherwise you can't have a direct conversation with them. You'll declare them uncoachable. You have to put some perspective outside of this. So you have to be able to pull them out and show them their weaknesses without offending them. And the disc enables you to do that. just by pulling it out, pull out their chart, pull out the chart I just showed you, and show them their strengths and weaknesses and say, this is the reason. Do you see this? Oh, you can't make your coaching calls because you're an I. You can't make our appointments because you're an I. You're always busy. You're always spread too thin. We cannot let this happen. So it shows them to be self-aware. Now, it doesn't mean you can't change your behavior. You can certainly change your behavior. That's who's the strongest. It's the person that can hold their breath. It's the person that can actually hold their breath and get uncomfortable with their natural behavior for the longest periods of time. That's the Jedi. That's the person who can jump into a D and an I and an S and a C behavior when needed. I'm a DI behavior, and I am proud to say that I can sit down over a computer and grind out tons of courses, tons of systems. Do I like it? Oh no, I hate it. I absolutely hate that. It is not fun for me. But I know with any job, with any role, there are going to be parts of your job that are hard. So I hold my breath. I time block those times. I put every trick in the book to make myself do the hardest parts of my job because I know those parts are going to require the most personal accountability for me. So I do everything I can. I do them first thing in the morning. I put it in a time block. I even put a calendar to get to bed the night before. I do all those things to play tricks so that my natural behavior doesn't get in the way of me actually getting the hardest parts of my job done. So it's very crucial that we actually use the disc. It's a valuable tool. All of our clients have unlimited use of it. They can disc as many of their agents as they want, as many candidates for jobs as they want. And then you need it for you, and you're going to need it for all your leaders, and make it a common conversation because you're going to find it's one of the most popular trainings to receive. People eat it up. People love it. It's hard to teach prospecting. No one's like, oh, I don't want to do that. Teach agent financials. Ooh, I don't like that. But disc, man, people love it. I can talk about the disc to anybody and they're like, this is so interesting. I'm learning so much about myself and my spouse who's not even here and all these other different people. It's actually fun to learn about it. The better a master you are of the disc, the better a coach or a leader you're going to be. And I know there's lots of other behavioral assessments out there and they're great. But guys, they don't have the wide usage the disc does. They just don't. I can't look at someone and mirror and match them because I can see what Myers-Briggs score they are. I don't. I just can't tell. And the disc, I can. I can tell what someone's disc is usually in the first 30 seconds of talking to them, right? They talk fast, they're either a D or an I. If they say emotional words and they talk about other people a lot and feelings, they're the I. If they don't, they're direct to the point, they end question short, that's a D. If they talk slow, they're either an S or a C. Then which is the S and which is the C? I can't ever spot an S, so I know a C is going to talk analytically, logically, like more of a robot. Otherwise, they're an S. In 30 seconds, I can find just about anybody out just by how they talk to me over the phone. That's what I like about the disc. I can mirror and match. Different agents are going to have different types of lead generation methods that they like. It's going to be very hard for a D to have the patience to farm, but an S, farming might be great because they love all the systems and the admin behind the farming without having to put themselves out there and pick up the phone and call some FSBOs, expireds, or circle prospect like a D would. I's don't like to ask for business they don't know, so they gravitate to that SOI business. D's have a hard time with SOI business because they don't want to wait that long until one of the people they know wants to buy or sell. So again, we can get into this and coach on so many different levels and natural tendencies to show them, oh, that's why I feel that way. Can you imagine if someone's been like trying to learn the wrong way and then I sit down in a recruiting appointment with them and make this, oh, so yeah, all we have to do, I'm sorry these other brokers have been wasting your time for so long, but maybe you should try this. I love you. I'm going with you. See what I'm saying? It has so much power if you can wield it like a Jedi Master. I'm telling you, it has so much power. So please master the disc, use the disc. And the best way to do it is start learning. You can take our disc course. We have a great disc course that teaches all these different things. And man, just because you know the disc doesn't mean you don't take the disc course because you're going to see all these different utilities of it. You're going to learn to teach it. You're going to learn to coach it. So let's use these disc assessment links. Hope this helps you guys.